Hi, everybody. Welcome to Jennifer's Open Book, where we don't believe in filters. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about social isolation. I have been showing love over the past few episodes, and I'm going to keep that going. I'm going to show some love to the people who see us. Before I get to that, if you haven't already done it, subscribe to my channel, hit your like button, share this video. It might touch somebody. Leave comments and let me know what you think of this video. Let me know if you want to see more of this, or let me know if there's something else that you would like to see us talk about. So, that being said, let's get to this. I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Angel. Angel is a counselor. What kind of counselor are you, Angel?
So I'm a licensed professional counselor. Is LPC is what people might be more familiar with, and so it's a just talk therapy type of counselor.
Talk therapy?
Yeah. So when you hear someone saying, "I'm going to my therapist. I need to talk this over with someone," or um, there's different types of modalities that counselors use, but basically it's talk therapy. That's basically
Okay.
what it is. Yeah.
Excuse me. So, Angel also has a visual impairment. If you guys are not new to my show, I have one too. And we're going to be talking about some of the experiences that we've had, and maybe some people that we know have had with social isolation. So, a lot of times, being blind, some of us can feel like we're invisible. We have experiences where people talk over us, talk around us, but don't talk to us. And we can be in a room full of people and feel completely invisible.
Yep.
And I'm just going to tell you, I've had this experience recently where I was in a room full of people, and the people that I was with would get hugs, and people would speak to them and come and talk to them. And I walked away from where I had been sitting all night and went and found. I ran into someone who I knew who had actually been around me sometime during that day. He said, "I've been seeing you all day. I've been looking for you." And I'm like, I was sitting right
Oh, wow.
there. So that's just an example. And sometimes it can make us feel really like we're all alone, even though we're in a room full of people. So, Angel, have you ever had
Yeah.
that sort of experience?
So I have had this. I would say I have it at least once or twice, maybe even more a week, and that's probably because I am out a lot, um, because working on the college campus, so I'm around a lot of people a lot, and in those type of situations, um, when people don't understand what we are capable of, even some simple things as holding a conversation. People, I think a lot of it has to do with their insecurities, because I've heard people say, I don't know what to say to her, talking about me, or I don't know, um, if I'm going to say, I'm afraid to say the wrong thing to hurt her feelings. Or people who are blind are not, I should say, not all people who are blind, but most people who are blind are not, you know, fragile. We are pretty resilient, actually,
Seriously.
where we are and how far we've come with our independence, and being able to accomplish what we have. And but I do want to acknowledge that there are, just like it with any other group or culture, there's a variety of levels of skills and levels of abilities, and so not everybody is the same. um, and some people, I've seen a lot of people who have just gone blind, might be a little bit more sensitive about it. Um, but I feel like people shouldn't go into a conversation worrying about hurting somebody's feelings. I think it's admirable to be aware and try to be conscious, but to avoid someone because you are afraid is really, it's really hurtful to the people you're avoiding. You know, for a group that's been marginalized for forever. Um,
Mhm.
and there's many groups, right, there can be many of us marginalized groups out there, and some of us identify with overlap, many of them, just in one of us, being a woman and being blind, that's two right there. And it's I forgot where I'm going with that. I just like went off on a tantrum.
So I'm gonna tell you.
Bring me
Listen.
back.
So you something that you mentioned. I'm sorry. Look, I got lost on words. It was something that you said. Oh, people. I was talking about people talking over us, and you mentioned
Yeah.
a situation where somebody can actually speak over you, and I'm gonna give you two examples. One
Mhm.
is, and I have a smart mouth. Okay, just there's no other way to put it. I have a really smart mouth. So if I'm someplace like let's say I'll give you this experience. I used to think eye doctors were like the dumbest people in the world
Why?
until I because these people specialize in eyes, okay? This is what they
Mhm.
do. They focus on the eyes. But every eye doctor that I had until I was an adult, and I'm talking about recently, would speak to they would first of all ask my mother questions about me.
Speak to the
They'll,
person with you, not you.
they'll look at me and then they'll turn around and they'll say, well, how much can she see? And
Oh
at
my
first,
god.
when I was younger, I would let my mother answer the question. My mother would usually tell them, she's sitting right there, ask her.
Mhm. Good for her.
But because I have a smart mouth when I got older, and I'm talking about to be a teenager, when I was a
Uh huh.
teenager, they'll ask my mother something like, well, how long has she had light perception? And I would say she's had it for about a year now.
There you go.
And then when they finally turn around and talk to me, and this is what I mean about them being idiots, they would talk loud to me. And I'm
People
like,
are so stupid.
like you you deal with people with visually impairments every day. You know that you have degrees. I'm blind.
They
I'm not
yeah.
deaf. You dummy.
But they have degrees in eye conditions. They don't have degrees in treating people like humans and
But what I'm saying is they have degrees in eye conditions, so they should know that the eyes are not connected to the ears.
exactly. But yeah,
So it's
I
stuff like that. And then this situation right here, you can be talking to someone, and I still to this day I experience it, and my family does it to me all the time. I can be standing there talking to somebody, and somebody will walk up to this person and start talking to them like we're not in the middle of a conversation. Like I'm not standing there, and they will literally kind of like stand in between us, and I will tap them on their shoulder like, "Hey,
oh my goodness,
like
yeah.
did I'm standing here? How you doing?" And I
Mhm.
would literally do them like that. How you doing? Hey.
That's good. And
And
that's
so that's what I mean by sometimes we feel like we're invisible because people do that, and I don't understand. I would love to talk to someone who can actually tell me what happens. Like what happens to your brain to make you think that this do we disappear?
I think I think a lot of because people a lot of because sighted people have depended on their sight primarily for all of their lives. I think when they don't get that eye contact, it seems that something is disconnects in their brain, that they are not, that person is not worthy of talking to, or since they're not connected visually, then they're not connected in other ways.
And
Um
you know what? That's a good answer to that question. It doesn't make me any happier about them doing it, but it explains a lot. And so when I started off at the very beginning of this saying that I was going to show some love to some people who see us, because
Mhm.
I want to focus on love, but I wanted to get that out there because I want people to understand why I'm focusing on people who can see us, and why we sometimes we can get really happy when we get attention. Some of us can get overly happy and it makes us seem a little bit desperate for attention. But sometimes we're just so happy that somebody actually sees us
Yes.
and somebody recognizes that we're there and they speak to us, because so many people treat us like we're invisible. So you guys might think this is
Uh-uh.
funny, and I want you to add some people in here, Angel, if you have some people that you want to show love to. I'm
Mhm.
gonna show some love to um the maintenance man in my building. Now this might sound funny to you guys, but I don't, a lot of times because of that isolation that I was just talking about, I don't think that people notice me, and I don't think that they notice that I'm blind. But I'm talking about these maintenance men because they do work on in
In
our
the
complex,
complex.
and they
Yeah.
have the loud machines going and
Yeah.
everything. And one
Annoying.
day, and I have to cross the parking lot to get to my leasing office or to get to my mailbox. And one day I was crossing and I noticed that they turned the machines off. And I said, okay, well, maybe they're taking like a break or they're like working on something. But as soon as my foot hit the sidewalk across the parking lot, they went back to work. And I noticed that happened every time I went out there and they were working out there. So they were doing that so that I can hear the traffic coming in and out of the parking lot.
Mhm.
They recognize that I can't see, so I have to hear, I have to listen for the traffic. So I'm showing love to the maintenance men at Santa Fe Apartments. Y'all my homies, good looking out.
That's awesome. Um, I would like to show love to people who just say, like, even when you get on the city bus, the bus driver saying hello, how you doing, just like they talk to any other person. It makes me feel, because sometimes I feel like I'm so invisible that maybe I'm not worth what everybody else is, because they talk to them, they hold conversations with them, like, what's wrong with me? And I mean, that's my first reaction. Of course,
Mhm.
it dawns on me that, yeah, it's really about their insecurities and not about me. But it's so refreshing when somebody says, hey, how you doing? And get this, it doesn't happen it doesn't happen often, so that when somebody does say hi to me, I tend to suspect them. I'm like, all right, what do they want? Like,
What do you want?
yeah, like why are you saying hi to me? Because I'm so used to people not talking to me that I think, okay, it must be somebody that's not desirable. Because they tend to they tend to say hi a lot too, because
So you
I
mentioned
don't know.
you mentioned the city bus drivers. So I'm showing some love to the Uber drivers and the paratransit drivers. I know a lot of people who have had really bad experiences with these drivers. I've had two bad experiences with Uber drivers. Um, Kind of just letting me off. They take me, and this is their job really. They take me to where I asked to go, and they're like, the door's over there, and that's it. But I have had some Uber drivers who have gone above and beyond their job requirements. They have gotten out of their car, walked me to the door, and I've even had a couple wait until I got to wherever I was going in the building, or until somebody came to show me where I
Hmm.
was going, just out of the kindness of their hearts. And also, the paratransit drivers. I have met some really sweet paratransit drivers since I've been in Las Vegas. My favorite ones were the ones that I met while I was living in Cleveland, and they were really sweet because I usually would be the last person that they would drop off, and they would get all the way off of their bus and help me carry my groceries up to my apartment, and they did not have to do
What?
that. They
That's
did.
sweet.
It was very sweet. I used to have a lot of groceries, and I did it on my own because they didn't always do that, but there were a handful of them that would actually help me carry my stuff up to my apartment. So again, I'm showing you guys some love too because you saw me.
I also like to appreciate people that come up to me and talk to me for me, not just about my blindness, not about. because people fixate on the blindness part, and that's
Yeah,
all
and
they
they
can see
don't learn anything
sometimes.
about your personality. They
Yeah, they don't acknowledge that we are a whole person. That's just one
Mhm.
part of our identity. um
Now, on the flip side, I don't mind you asking me questions about me being visually impaired. I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable with asking. Go in your room. Go. I
right,
don't
I
want
feel
you to
that way
feel
too.
uncomfortable with asking those questions because some people can make you feel really uncomfortable and you don't know unless you ask. And you wouldn't believe so many things that people don't believe that we can do or don't know that we can
I
do.
know.
And it's because they're scared to ask questions. So I do
It's true.
appreciate those people who come and talk to us about us being visually impaired, but also talk to us about other things.
Other things, because we are human and we're just like
Yes.
anybody else, except sometimes we might do things in a little bit different way, but getting to the same end goal is we can do that as well as anybody else, like getting places. We take the bus or we take an Uber, or doing stuff online. We have the screen reading software, but we accomplish the same goals like anyone else. And and so it's okay to ask questions for sure. I just don't want that to be the sole reason why a person is talking to me. I can understand. I would be asking questions about somebody who's blind, and I never talked to a blind person before. I would want to know, and I'm the kind of person that likes to ask questions too. Um,
So if you haven't figured it out by now, we're showing people love who treats us like we're human beings.
mhm.
Who treats us like there are some people who treat visually impaired people, blind people, as if it's contagious.
Yep, that is so true. And you
They're
know what?
so
I have a
afraid.
theory. I have a theory. Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Here's
Hit me
my
with it.
theory. Here's my theory on that. When people are really afraid of you, I suspect that it has something to do with them worried about how they would respond if that happened to them. That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is, you ever notice a blind that when they meet you, the first thing they ask is how you went blind? And I think the reason people ask that is because they want to know how you went blind so they can avoid it.
So they can avoid that. Like they do not want that to happen to them.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous because there's really a very slim to none chance that that person could ever get blind, the same way you did. But it goes along with we I get frustrated and I get impatient, but I do tolerate um people wanting to talk about my blindness, to get to know me, mostly only with people that I know that I'm going to be spending time with and investing emotion in or energy with. If it's
Hmm.
just somebody on off the street, whew, they're likely to get random stuff coming out of my mind, out of my mouth, because
And see,
I just don't have
I don't mind a
patience.
random person coming to ask me questions because again, if they don't ask, they don't know. So I am literally an open book. You can ask me anything.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Well, I'm
give
gonna
you.
send them to you when they're on the
You can
street.
just send them to me. Send them to my Facebook. I'll answer questions. I do not mind. I will ask. I will answer questions. I've had too many run-ins with people who don't know and they make assumptions. This
Yeah, I
girl,
don't like that
my
either.
my shoe was untied, and this girl got down on the floor and she was like, "Oh, your shoe is
Oh my
untied."
god.
I was like, "Listen, honey, I can tie my own shoe." So while I was tying my shoe, she says, "Does your mommy and daddy help you get dressed?"
No freaking way.
I said, "Does your mama and daddy help you get dressed?" And I mean, that was the wrong. I should have just been like, "No," you know what I mean? But
I know. I have done that. Like on the bus, people say, "Where are you getting off?" And I'm like, "Where are you getting off?" Like, I didn't ask you for help.
why?
Why you need to know where I'm
Why?
going?
The person who needs to know where I'm getting off knows. Why do you need to? Are you gonna follow me home?
And the other
But
thing that happened to me that's similar to that person tying your tooth, your shoe. When I was crossing the street downtown, there was no cars coming, so I couldn't follow the traffic. So okay, I'm like, I have to take a chance across the street because there's no cars That's how we tell how to cross the street is
Right.
we cross with our
Listen to the
parallels.
traffic.
Yeah,
Right.
but there was no parallel traffic and there was no traffic across me either. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start inching out here, and I crossed. And this lady had the audacity to grab my arm hard, and she's like, "Do you know that you just crossed the street when the light was red?" I'm like, I jerked my arm out of her hand. I'm like, "Look, bitch!" I was upset. I was like, God damn it, who the hell are you? Who the hell decided for you to be keeper of me? You know, like if it's
Okay,
my problem.
so sighted people, do not go grabbing people. That's
Yes.
dangerous. She was nice. All she did was cussing somebody. I know somebody who has a taser and
Oh.
they're not afraid to use it. So don't just walk up to a blind person and grab them because you don't know what a person's been through, where they
Yep.
from. Like
Oh.
we can't legally carry guns and everything, but I would not walk up to anybody and just grab them. Like I said, I know somebody who has a taser and I know somebody who has a knife and they are shell shocked. You cannot go around just
Yeah,
grabbing
it's
people.
true.
Like ask people if they need help. It's okay to ask because
Yeah.
I and 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 you might get different responses because I know someone who doesn't want anybody to ask them for, if they need help. They get an attitude if you ask them. But I also read something where a guy said that he was trying to find his door or something, and it was like a bunch of people around him, and they watched him like search for the door, and no one asked him if he needed help, and he actually needed help. Um, so it's okay to ask people if they need help. Also, my blind and visually impaired people, it's okay to ask for help.
Exactly.
Don't assume somebody's gonna help you because you're looking for something. Because some of us are so independent, we can find what we're looking for, and some of us know what we're looking for and know where we are. We just kind of look like we're searching to somebody else. So
Right.
if you need help and you know people are around, it's okay to ask for help. What I'm saying, people, is use your question marks.
Yep.
Use your question marks. Ask. So we I got all off of it. We were showing people love. We were
Yeah.
showing people love.
We
So
covered a
okay,
lot of topics.
I had one more person who I wanted to show some love to, and this was so long ago, but it was one of those instances where someone saw us, and I appreciate. I took my nephews to go get ice cream one day, and the place was right outside the parking lot of the building I was living in. So I had a guide dog at the time, and I walked the boys around to go get ice cream, and it was getting ready to rain, and you can like if there wasn't a fence up, you can walk through the back door of my apartment from this ice cream
Mm.
shop. But this lady asked if we needed a ride home, and I told her no. And she kind of just kept asking, and she's like, "I can give you a ride." I said, "Ma'am, I live right there." I said, "We can walk right there. It'll take us more time to get in your car than it would to get to my
Uh-huh.
apartment." But the fact that she asked us and that she was concerned was really sweet. It was really a blessing, and I do appreciate people like that. I appreciate people who, like I said, who actually sees us and looks at us as if we are human beings, because we are human beings with human emotions. We do human things. There's good and bad in all of us. Um, some of us are a little bit rowdy. Some of us are really sweet. Some of us are really salty. They're like we are human, just like you. The only difference is that you can see, we cannot. But my grandfather told me something a long time ago when I was little. Said that everybody in the world has a handicap, whether you can see it or not. He told me, Jennifer, yours is just obvious. He says, but everybody in this world has some type of handicap. So think about it like that, people. Yours might be something different. You might be looking at yourself like, what's my handicap? You could be anything. You could be overweight. You could be underweight. You could not be able to use your left hand. Something, you know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
something that's
Uh,
not perfect about you.
I also want to point out that we are all interconnected. We all depend on each other, not
For
just
something.
disabled people, right? But not just disabled people. I mean, sighted people depend on the mailman to deliver their mail so they can pay their bills. Our we humans are connected to each other and dependent on each other in those ways. So I my point is that just because we're blind doesn't mean that we always need help or that we always are dependent. It's a give and take sometimes, and I think the bottom line is just to not assume that
Yeah. Ask
what a
questions,
blind
like I said.
person.
Ask
Yeah.
questions. Ask
Ask
questions.
questions, be curious, and be curious from a I'm curious perspective, from an open-minded perspective.
I don't know if you guys can see my daughter keeps running in here. I'm going to get on her about that when we're done, but she's kind of in and out of here right now. She needs some attention.
He wants
So if you
mommy to
guys
get off the phone.
if you guys hear a little noise in the background, that's my 5-year-old. Sorry. But we're actually getting ready to end this. I have really enjoyed this conversation. You guys don't know this, but I've been talking to Angel for probably about 2 hours now. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy her, and I appreciate you
Mhm.
coming on here and talking to me. And we're gonna have to
Thank
do
you.
this again and talk
We
about
shall.
something else because you have a lot of experience, and I love it because you're a counselor, so you have like that that part of it too. So it's
Yeah.
awesome that you came on here with me. So we're gonna
Hmm.
do this again one day. But thank you.
No
Is there
problem.
anything that you want to say to anybody before we go?
Um, hi everyone. I can't even think of your co-host Anthony and Zeph, and I don't know all the other people, but y'all been doing a good job on your videos. I appreciate them.
So while I'm showing love, don't forget you guys need to
Like,
stay tuned because I'm going to show some more love to some more people. And like I said, I'm doing individuals and I'm also doing groups of people. So it might be you. So stay tuned while I'm showing love. I know for sure one day I'm gonna show some love to my fans because I actually have fans, y'all.
what? You got fans? I didn't know I was talking to a
Yes.
famous person.
So I gotta show you guys some love to some of my guests that I've had on here. You guys are awesome. So you guys just like stick with me. I've already shouted out a few people's name. So stick with me and I will see you guys next time. Until then, I said what I said, I meant what I said, and I love you.
Peace.